Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Welcome to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. It's a pleasure to be with you and a pleasure to be with my co-host, Jason Gunn of Sanchez Wealth Management. Big J, happy hump day to you, my friend.
It's not Friday yet?
No.
Okay.
I know. All day I've been thinking it was Thursday. I know. I don't know what it is. I think I'm getting in the turkey mood. Usually, I don't know what it is. Usually, I'm not real excited about Thanksgiving. I love the family get-together and stuff. But this year, it's like I really feel in the spirit this time. I don't know. I like it. I like it.
No, that's fair. I think it's certainly starting to feel wintry here. Tell you what.
Exactly.
I'm thrilled I get to drive over to the summit or not drive this weekend, even though I'm supposed to. So that's pretty awesome.
Just take that beautiful boat of yours as you have an atmospheric river. Just float across.
My metaphorical boat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have a very special guest joining us this afternoon on the program. She'll be coming in. Well, we're going to bring her on now, but her topic today's topic, I should say, is exactly down her alley. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure to introduce my offspring, my youngest child, Bailey Sanchez.
That's all I get now, just the offspring, not even my lovely daughter.
My pride and joy. But I get yelled at by your siblings every time I, gloat about you, which is way too often.
I'll remember that.
Okay. All right. It's a deal. Well, for those of you that may recognize Bailey's voice or her name, Bailey is our marketing director at Sanchez Wealth Management, but she's also an entrepreneur. This poor kid got thrown into the realm of business at a very young age, to say the least. And she and my older daughter, Brooke, have just excelled in the world of entrepreneurship. I'll let her give the details, but they are the co-partners and founders of an event that many of you go to in September of each and every year, and that is the Douglas County Rodeo. So Bailey, today's topic, it is right up your alley. That topic is this, folks: why millennials make great business owners. Now, folks, raising millennials, it can be a challenge. I'll just say, I'll be honest, it can be a challenge. They have a mind of their own. They're not motivated per se by money. They're motivated by different things. And I thought of this, Jason, I thought this would be a great topic this afternoon after we go through the market recap to talk about. I want to get 2 points across. I think I have 2 goals, guys. And goal number 1, I want all you parents and grandparents out there, if you have millennials that you can phone and tell them to tune into the show right now, either they can listen online or, of course, at kkoh.com or on their radio. But I want them to listen what Bailey has accomplished. And I'm not saying this as her father, but she's a prime example of a millennial. And I want you guys to hear it from her, what motivates her generation. And what you're going to find is, after doing a bunch of research on this, and I should have known as her father for all these years, that they're motivated by different things. But the bottom line is they are incredible entrepreneurs, much better than my generation, much better than, I'm a baby boomer, much better than Jason's generation. They're phenomenal. And the reason why, or reasons why, you're going to find out, it has a lot to do with technology and just really what makes millennials click. And so Bailey's going to really enlighten everybody about not how easy it is to start a small business as a millennial, but just some of the trials, tribulations, and most importantly, the reward. Because, folks, I think this is going to be a generation, Jason, I know you agree with me on this one. This is going to be a generation of the largest group of investors we've ever seen, far surpassing my generation, but also the largest group, in my opinion, of entrepreneurs this country has ever seen. Do you not agree?
I do. I mean, we've talked about this a bunch. The average age in the U.S. right now is 37 years old, right? The millennials are bigger than the baby boomers, and that's part of the reason that you're seeing this move higher in crypto assets, and you're seeing sort of alternative investments in general get a lot more attention than they had before. I don't know what I can say, but there's an app that you can trade for free. I guess it's Robin Hoodification of things. I don't think they own any funds, so I think I mentioned. It's just a different mindset for that generation. Again, we all have similarities, but they're certainly different. Like you mentioned, different drives, different goals. I think the generation prior, oftentimes you mirror a bit, and then you also reject some of the things that they hold dearly, right? Here's what my parents did, so I'm going to do the opposite. And I think they're probably bouncing to a
Bailey's shaking her
massive
head.
extreme. Yeah, no, I can see too. They're bouncing to a massive extreme from what, I would say, what our late boomers, early Gen Xers, the millennials are a much different crew for sure.
Excellent said, Jason. And before I bring Bailey back on, then we'll get to our stock market recap. If you heard my show tease today, I said it all, and I want to say it again right now. What do millennials want for their career? If you think that they want the traditional 9-to-5 job, the 2 weeks paid vacation, the 401k, and that little 3% raise every year, you couldn't be more wrong, right? I'm surprised your head's not falling through the camera, Bailey, because the answer is absolutely not. They want so many more different things. And if you're trying to understand what makes your kids or your grandkids tick, or if you are an employer, which I hope many of you are, and you have millennials, which I'm sure you do as employees, you're probably struggling trying to figure out what makes them tick. And so that is our goal this afternoon as we go through this with Bailey, is to really kind of give an insight into this group. Bailey, real quick before we turn it over to Jason for a market recap, what makes your generation so different than my generation, Jason's, or any others that before you?
I really think, the one major difference between mine and your guys' generations, I think, was social media. Just really kicking off that people can see that there's other things that they can do in the world. They're used to seeing their parents work so hard our entire lives, and then we get to this new era of seeing everyone else's lives across the world, and there becomes, I think, a sense of envy, or maybe just a different commitment to what millennials want for their life other than the 9-to-5 white picket fence.
Yeah, right. Throw the white picket fence. Oh, you mean, by the way, because you guys understand social media, my generation doesn't, that you can press a button and have an advertisement for your business sent out to, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and on and on and on. And within a matter of seconds, you have people knocking down your door to buy your product or your service. You mean that where I had to literally... Right, Jason? We had phone books. This is how I built this business, Bailey Marie Sanchez. I had a phone book that I had to call 300, 400, 500 people a day for years and years, And you guys just go, well, welcome everybody. I have this great product that I want to sell. Boom, press the button and they buy from you right then and there. It's not fair, man.
Let's acknowledge. I think I've seen a tear or two when you try to use technology. So
yeah.
It is hard on both sides.
Clarify, I'm good at technology, just not good at social media.
Okay, we'll stick with that for now.
I'm getting good. Yeah, I'm getting gooder.
Oh man, yeah. You're not wrong though. There's definitely just a completely different mindset, obviously, and it's a lot harder for your generation and mine to, I think, understand each other now with two different mindsets. But there's no excuse anymore for someone not to be successful in some realm. We have every ounce of information in the world at our fingertips, and so I was just talking about this with someone the other day. There's no excuse not to have an education. It doesn't have to be maybe through a school per se, but there's no excuse not to be educated on so many different topics these days. So, and that opens the world up, right, for businesses and being an entrepreneur and all of those things.
I know we're jumping way ahead, but I want to get this out before I forget. Jason, as the COO of our firm, you have the day-to-day management responsibility among many others of our staff. They are of Bailey's generation. What do you find exciting and what do you find challenging managing millennials?
Yeah, I probably say the hardest part for me, again, having kids that are 16 and 18, is surfing that line of being colleagues, being a boss, and being a friend, right? I think that oftentimes is difficult to marry all three of them together.
I struggle with that as a parent.
Yeah, well, my good or bad, and probably how I work with these guys, is I always treated my kids like peers. Maybe probably we're a little too open with things that I say, but I think it's made them well-rounded versus a sense of, again, Bailey used the picket fence analogy. I think that's perfectly put. The whole, seen and not heard thing has gone the way of the dodo. Like, I would argue kids, and even more so, Bailey's generation, when they're having kids, it becomes such an extension of their parents, or their parents rather, now treat their children as, Joey's baseball team, and he's the best, whatever, and they've grown up in that, right? That, everyone gets a trophy. And I don't mean that negatively, but there's different senses of goals and there's different senses of what's important. But I think it's certainly a generation that wants to be more inclusive versus everyone having their little fiefdoms and stuff.
Yeah.
Like open door and open conversation policy tends to resonate a lot better with this generation than it probably did before. We're managers, we're going to go talk in this office.
Yeah.
Or, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. And you hit on a very important point, Jason, and that is looking at them as a peer. I find myself, the more that this young lady gets knowledgeable, she very proudly graduated from UNR. She's got a bachelor's degree in business, minor in entrepreneurship. I have so much respect for her, not only as my daughter, but as director of our marketing and just as a human being, that I find, and you know this, Bailey, I pick up the phone and call her a lot. And I'm like, oh, I just did it this weekend. Like, I'm stuck on this business idea, Bailey. What do you think about this? And then we get her sister on and Jason, and it's amazing. It just, again, at 60 years old, I'm relying upon my daughter to throw out advice, but that's how much respect I have for you as an entrepreneur, that I'm seeking advice from you, not only as your father, but, as your employer and as your friend and your partner and so on and so forth. So I find that very interesting.
And I think it's exciting too with my generation. We have this is going to be kind of an end of an era where we get to ask our parents who still have the traditional values of running businesses, now meeting with millennials who are a whole different direction of how we go about things. But if you think about it, when I have kids and I'm older, we won't have the same knowledge that you guys did with starting businesses and working under people. And so it's a very unique time to clash all of those ideas together. And I think that's why it's so exciting when you and I can bounce ideas off each other all day long.
Yep, absolutely. I love it. It's going to be a fun topic. Well, when we come back, we'll get right down to the stock market activity. We'll talk about the big news after the close today, which, of course, is NVIDIA's earnings. And then we'll get back to Bailey and talk about why millennials make great business owners. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with Jason Gunn of Sanchez Wealth Management, Bailey Sanchez, also of Sanchez Wealth Management. All right, here's how we finished up, and then we'll get to Bailey at the bottom of the hour. Here's how we finished up for the day in a wild ride, nearly 400-point movement from the lows to the highs, just like yesterday on the Dow. But boy, we got a nice little bit of buying going into the close. The Dow finishing up 140 points, 0.32%, with a closing level of 43,408. The Nasdaq down 21, closing at 18,966, and a big goose egg unchanged on the S&P 500 at 5,917. Slight pullback in oil prices, down 7/10 at 68.76 a barrel. Good day for gold, $20.70 increase, 2,651.70, 4 basis point increase on the 10-year at a close of 4.41%. All right, Jason, let's get the market recap going, and then we'll move into the after hours and let everybody know the highly anticipated news on NVIDIA.
Yeah, I think the chop of today probably was because of what you just mentioned. We had a 20-year bond auction that was a dud. Rates shot up really across the curve. 10 years oscillating between that 435 and 450 level pretty aggressively. It doesn't know which way to break. Higher or lower, we had some Fed heads out today. Bowman, I believe, was the Fed of the day, stating that she would like to proceed cautiously in bringing down rates. But yesterday we had a different Fed member talking about, saying that by and large 25 basis points on the next couple meetings would be in line with what she would like to do. So you're getting a bit of both, right? Which is very common. They're going to parade a lot of these folks out there to have these, see which way the market reacts to it. But the demand on the Treasury side is going to be the part that really dictates all. And if 20-year auction goes weak like it did today, we're going to get, I think, a TIPS auction tomorrow. But the bond market, unfortunately, is where a lot of folks are keeping an eye on. And then you have that bid towards the end of the day, I think, just front-running NVIDIA tonight. The fact the stock's down, we'll get into a bit, maybe down 1% or so after the hour, I'm calling that a win. Right, the options market had it priced for an 8 to 9% move on the event, and so the fact the stock is well within that range should be, I would say, viewed positively. They had a pretty big bar to get over. I think that they'll probably be able to kick this Blackwell chip demand down the road just because of all the demand that they said that they're seeing.
You let the cat out of the bag, didn't you?
Dud. We'll dig into it a bit more, but Target was a dud. That stock absolutely blew up today.
What a difference a quarter makes. I was joking with Ross this morning on the stock updates. Blowout quarter last quarter, right? This one, like you said, just an absolute dead, and you're just going, how can a company go from one extreme to another? I can understand pulling back a little bit, but this was 180 from on the spectrum. 180 from what they did the previous quarter.
This is just showing it's Amazon, Walmart, and Costco.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
nobody
you're right.
else.
You know what?
They
You're
own
absolutely
it,
right. It's a good way to look at
If
it.
you want bulk,
Yeah.
you're going to Costco. If
Yep.
you want, groceries, you want, they said Walmart, over 60% of their spend now is in grocery. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And Target is the opposite. And so
What
people
is
are
Target?
holding.
What is Target, Jason?
Yeah.
If I ask you
Yeah.
what is Target, it's an old out. It's a glorified Kmart model, right?
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
you got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's nothing great. The products are junk, in my opinion. I've never shopped for groceries at Target. I don't know who
No,
does that.
maybe just on accident, like I need to
Yeah,
grab
exactly.
X, not I'm going there.
So why don't I just go to Walmart, get my groceries, get my products, or of course, if I'm going to do the products, I want the best value and the fastest. I'm going to press the button and have it in my house and the next day with Amazon.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Costco, yeah, I absolutely love because there's such unique things. But no, that is a. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. You just hit it right on the head. Those are the three.
And
Everybody else is secondary.
unfortunately, all industries are going in that direction, right? There's
Yeah.
sort of the winners and the everyone else, and unfortunately, not what competition wants to see, but it is.
Right.
It's becoming a very, very tight market. But I would say good move today. I mean, the S&P was down, 60 or 70 plus basis points at some point today, and rallied back to, just the green lines. I'll say today's a win, especially with NVIDIA, and after the close, like we said, we'll get into a bit more, but the fact that it's not barfing all over itself is a positive thing, given that semiconductor chart is not the prettiest thing in the whole wide world. It'd be a good spot for a double bounce.
Just to wrap up on Target, we finished down $33.16, 21.4% loss, closing level 121.72. Okay, let's go ahead and get Nvidia going, Jason. So here are the numbers, and then we'll discuss this here. So first and foremost, once again, you have to remember when Nvidia is going to report, they are priced to perfection, right? They are a major barometer for the stock market, so it'll be interesting to see, what kind of impact it's going to have tomorrow. Some may give it a pass card, some may say, oh, they're not growing like they should, so therefore the rest of the market isn't, and sell off. But we will see. But here's the data: $35.08 billion in revenue. Estimates were $33.16 billion. So there's a beat there on the top line. Bottom line earnings per share, 81 cents versus 75 cents. They said they expect about $37.5 billion plus or minus 2% in the current quarter sales versus $37.08 billion expected by analysts. Okay, there's a little bit of a beat there. But Jason, going through this report, here's and I'll stop here. Here's where I think where the street's having a bit of a problem. The fourth quarter is implying year-to-year growth of about 70% from a year earlier. Okay, boy, what company wouldn't give their right arm for 70% growth? But not when you're Nvidia, priced to perfection. That is a slowdown from 265% annual growth in the same period a year prior. And you had warned about this, every time Nvidia's earnings come out, you mentioned this, that they are priced to perfection. They need that 200-300% growth rate to keep people enticed with them. Otherwise, hey, there's a lot of other companies out there growing at 70%. Do I want to take the risk on Nvidia? Well, it's everybody's decision. I do, but obviously it's not enough. Stock's down $1.79 right now, 1.25% to 144.10 in the after hours.
And I think they have people holding on long enough. They have enough hanging out there, almost carrot and stick, that with the new Blackwell chip. So
Yes.
Think about Hopper. Think of H100, H200 built for more the large language models, right? Where Hopper Blackwell is built for the video part of generative AI, right? So that's the videos of me saying things that I'm not saying type thing, right? And that is, I think, there's another stair step there when they get this high-end processing around video and video generation. That's really what this next line is for. So they've had issues around heat in terms of racks. They need to rebuild sort of how that's all set up. There's been some delays as far as getting this thing out there, but the fact that they're saying Hopper demand is exceptional, I think that's enough to keep people around waiting for the next thing. I would say if they're going to whiff, it would be next quarter or the quarter after if you don't get this follow through, or there's some hiccup as far as production is concerned, that people will very much start to get skeptical of everything they say versus give them a pass.
13,000 samples of the chip have been sent to the likes of Microsoft, Oracle, OpenAI, etc. According to one of the analysts, every customer is racing to be the first to the market. Blackwell is now in the hands of all of our major partners. I'm sorry, this was an internal comment. Blackwell's now in the hands of all of our major partners, and they're working to bring up their data centers. So almost every company in the world seems to be involved in our supply chain, according to Johnson Wong. So we'll see. Not blowout. Like I said, we'll see what kind of impact it has on the kind of the mindset of the market tomorrow. Futures again just started trading a half hour ago. Nasdaq futures down 44, Dow's down 14, and the S&P's lower by 7. So we will see. But I'm glad it's over with, because I'm so tired of talking about what it was going to be, and so we will see how the impact is. All right, why do millennials and why will millennials make great entrepreneurs? You small business owners, listen up. Those of you with kids, grandkids that are in the millennial group, don't be surprised if they ever come home and say, "Hey, Mom and Dad, guess what? Yeah, I got offered that 9-to-5 job for $60,000 a year, but I ain't taking it. I'm starting my own business." You'll understand why when we get into this with Bailey and Jason on the Jon Sanchez Show. Let's turn it over to Greg Neff. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on Newstalk 780 KOH with Jason Gott and my daughter Bailey Sanchez. All right, once again, we finished up 140 on the Dow, down 21 on the Nasdaq, and big old goose egg on the S&P 500. All right, we're going to shift gears, and we're going to go into the world of entrepreneurship, but we're going to focus in on one specific generation, and that is the generation of the millennials. Considered to be extremely entrepreneurial driven. They have very unique experiences, unique values, and they bring a lot of unique circumstances to the table. So again, our purpose is so you have a little bit better understanding from a business perspective how your kids, your grandkids may be thinking about their careers. And then also, if you are an employer, how do your employees think about their careers? Because again, folks, this is a different generation than many of you my age and even Jason's age have gone through. And so I brought Bailey on to enlighten us and tell us what really goes through their mind. So Bailey, we're going to start with this first point, which is the millennials' desire for flexibility and desire for autonomy. You guys love work-life balance. You don't like being constrained, like I said in the beginning, to the 9-to-5. You want the freedom to kind of do what you want, but yet, and also to do what aligns with your personal values, right? It's not about the money, it's personal values. But at the same time, you want this work-life balance. This is one of the toughest things, because I spent, as you know, being my child, I missed a lot of your birthdays and your siblings' birthdays and different holidays because I was working. That's not what your generation's about. Yes, money is important, but yet that work-life balance is extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we can start with the major point, right, of people my age are being encouraged to not get married so quick and not have kids so quick. So I think that is definitely putting a different perspective in millennials' minds of let's not focus on having families, let's focus on working. But with that, I think too, coming into traveling and all these things, again, that people get to see on social media, I think it's really put these ideas into people's minds that they don't need to stay in one spot. And I think COVID was definitely a turning point for that, right? Where everyone got to work from home, many people who have never done it before, and it opened up a lot of working opportunities where people realize they can work from anywhere in the world and still make a livable paycheck. So it's changed how people view the workforce in my age group, I think.
Yeah, I think COVID was definitely a good stepping point for everybody, and definitely your generation, because this is what you guys wanted. It wasn't there yet in corporate America, and COVID kind of forced it on employers, right?
Right, absolutely. I mean, it even changed my perspective. I was never used to just working from home, and now I can run almost 3 businesses straight from my kitchen table and get it done in my sweats every day.
That's exactly right. This recording will be on all kinds of social media, so yeah, it'll make that headline.
I'm not going to name any news sources as to not offend.
That's a good point. Jason, before I turn over the second point to you, Bailey, I wanted to just pause real quick. You mentioned your 3 businesses. Tell the audience real quick what you do besides working for our firm. You have your hands into a lot of things. Again, back to this millennial entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, so obviously I'm doing marketing for you, but during COVID, actually, myself and my sister and another business partner came up with an idea that we need to bring some entertainment to Gardnerville. It was a very shot in the dark. We didn't know if it would work, especially once COVID came around and we already had the planning in process. So now we have Triple S Productions, and we are going on our 5th year in 2025 of putting on the Douglas County Rodeo. It's become something a lot bigger than we ever expected. We're about 8,000 people in one weekend for our small little town. town. In addition to that, we put on concerts when we get a chance to in town. And so it was definitely an idea we didn't think would go too far, and it has. So it's opened up a lot of opportunities, and it shows what you can really make come to life from a kitchen table and a long night with some coffee.
And some wine and some whiskey and whatever else to get it motivated.
I wasn't gonna mention those ones, but yeah.
Oh no, it's my audience. You can mention it. You can mention it.
Yeah.
And again, folks, many of you, of course, have been to this. It always falls on the first weekend of September, right? First or second?
Yeah, it's always the weekend after Labor Day.
Weekend after Labor Day. There you go. In Douglas County, at the Douglas County Fairgrounds. And again, as her father, it is a mind-blowing event what these kids put together. I mean, Jason, you and I could never come close to what they do. It's just, I mean, between the hundreds of volunteers and sponsors, and of course all the athletes, meaning the cowboys and cowgirls, it's a major event, and it's. Literally the day after you guys wrapped up this last one, I was talking to your sister, and she was already working on the 2025 one. It's like the Rose Parade, right? The minute it ends, you're already working on it for next year. There's that much work involved, and you guys just pull off beautiful productions. You're getting attention from a lot of major rodeo producers around the country, literally, for the great job you guys are doing. What else do you do business wise?
Well, business-wise, I run our ranch here, of course. I also have somebody else that I help out with their gym, with their fighting gym, and I'm going to start teaching there now, so adding that into the schedule. But again, look at that. I can do my 2 jobs from home that I work on the computer, and then when I want to, I can zoom into town, go teach a couple Muay Thai classes, and then head off to the next meeting. So it just really shows that the flexibility of this day and age has provided the opportunity to work a lot.
Jason, how many meetings, Zoom meetings have we had with Bailey where she's driving down 395, going from Gardnerville to Reno? Yeah, none, zero. Smith Valley to Gardner, never. Yeah, there's the grass doesn't grow under your feet, child, not at all. Yeah. Jason, take on point number 2. This is down your alley, Jason, on the tech savvy side of these millennials and why they're so good at how it helps them in business.
They're very tech savvy, digital. I think that having been raised in front of iPads and things along those lines, that the group is very comfortable with technology and finding ways to, and Bailey does an amazing job at it for us, is finding ways to utilize technology to make us more efficient, to create marketing that once built, a lot of times there's very little that you need to do. It can be continuously iterated on, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. So tell us a little bit how, you focus on using technology to do all the things that you're able to do in just 24 hours in one day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, ChatGPT has become my best friend. But again, with that, nobody has an excuse not to be able to write a nice email or be a professional business owner with all of these technologies at our fingertips. And it really becomes our responsibility. With great power is great responsibility in a sense, right? Where I don't have an excuse not to write the perfect social media post or email or things of that sort now with these. So it's the technology obviously is ever evolving, and I think that's why it's harder for generations like yours, Dad, to keep up. There's something new every single day. But it all builds off of each other, and so it's kind of scary. If you don't know how to do a Facebook post, you're not going to know what to tell ChatGPT to write for you for your Facebook post or things like that, right? So it's building
I can
blocks.
verify that one.
We take shots at Jon. He's good with technology, but I point this out to clients all the time, just as an extension of what you're talking about. The wrong answer when asked about do you use the interweb for something or your email for something is, I don't do that. I just don't feel comfortable. We try to stress as much as possible, very much to your point, in the fact that technology is only going to become more of a part of our life, and your generation obviously was raised knowing this, that learning and taking the time, there are ways to get educated on this. Again, very much to your point, there's no excuse anymore to say, I don't know how to do it. You can go on your favorite Google machine and say, how do I X? Create an email. How do I use ChatGPT? How do I do this? People just need to be comfortable doing it. Because it's
what
just
you guys are missing, though.
Yeah.
What you guys are missing, though. Excellent point, Jason. I think I'm representative of the baby boom generation. We don't want to. You know what I'm saying? I would rather pick up the phone with Bailey and say, or pick up the phone to you and go, all right, let's post this or let's do this. But it's weird. I have no desire whatsoever. And you guys obviously know me. If I want to do something, I'm going to figure out how to do it. But it's weird. It's like, I don't know if it's a privacy thing or what it is.
Yeah.
Poor Bailey, she gets calls from me, because I'm working throughout the weekend. How do you do this? How do you do that? And she's just like, she just gives up. She goes, Dad, just tell me what you want and I'll take care of it. And she hasn't done in 2 seconds what would have taken me hours to research. So I think that's one of the lags in my generation. A lot of us just don't want to do it. I mean, let me research a stock before I try to figure out how to post something on Facebook. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's really, really strange, these generational gaps there. So,
well, and I think
cool.
too,
Good
what
stuff.
plays into it.
Okay.
I think what plays into it as the last point is my generation has been kind of raised to expose our life on social media or on the internet too, right? So it breaks down that barrier, because I've tried to convince you, Dad, to film some videos for the office of just your normal life, and you get so uncomfortable. So I think that's another obstacle as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a very good point. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about passion for purpose-driven ventures with Bailey Sanchez. Jason Gott. Let's turn it over to Kristen Snow. Right now, Traffic Center. Head back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. We've been joined by my daughter, Bailey Sanchez, talking about millennials and why they are such great entrepreneurs. Bailey, we have just a couple minutes left, and I want to jump. Actually, I want to skip what I was telling you about, where we're talking about being purpose-driven ventures, and I want to get down to the importance of networking. I've never seen a generation like yours that is so big into networking. I mean, networking, of course, has been around since the beginning of time, but your generation seems to be very involved with it, obviously via social media, but also in person. I mean, I see you have I'll say 10, 20 people that you're very close to, and you guys are always sharing each other's ideas. You use each other in business. It's like I've never seen before. What makes your generation unique when it comes to that?
Oh, that is an understatement. I don't think my business would be where it's at without networking. Of course, we have the benefit of being in a smaller town, so it's easier to connect. But again, social media plays a part in that. But I think people realize these days you kind of have to put on the fake face to get where you need to be sometimes. And you have to network between different groups. You have to be willing to learn as well. I find a lot of people who don't have a big network, they're not willing to learn about other people's businesses, and even when you're not interested, you still learn something that can benefit your business as well. So, I mean, even there's days where I don't want to talk to anybody at all, and I still have to step into a room of 20 people, and you got to make conversation. So I think of all things of being a business owner, I hope people take that home if they don't realize that now, that networking is the best way to build your business and crash your business at the same time.
We got 20 seconds. What is your last piece of advice to those millennials out there saying, I'm tired of the 9 to 5, I want to go out on my own?
Figure out what makes you tick, no matter how outlandish the idea is, and run with it. Google it, figure out how you can make a business out of it, because there's always a way.
Love it. Jason, wrap us up.
I learned a ton of it. It's always a good conversation, as you mentioned, trying to learn from folks younger and older than you.
You get a both.
What generation I'm in anymore? Yeah, exactly. I'm just a tweener at this point. I was the younger guy forever, and now I'm just like, but it was fun. It was great having Bailey on, and we're really lucky to have her. So.
Absolutely, but we are. All right, sweetheart. I love you so much. Not you, Jason.
All right.
Love you so much, honey. Thank you so much.
But I do love you. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Love you too, honey. Bye-bye. That was a lot of fun, Jason. I really enjoyed that. And we can always learn from this younger generation, no doubt about it. God bless everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on the Jon Sanchez Show. Have a great evening.